the part that's super awesome is the the magazine being worldwide
Yeah, I know.
is amazing.
Yeah, it is.
That blows my mind too. And I mean, it started mainly when we started offering digital as well as the regular hard copies. But once we did that, then suddenly people overseas were buying hard copies too. So it's just, I'm really humbled by it. I mean, I put my heart into it, but people obviously like it, so it makes me happy.
Yeah, absolutely. No, it's really nice. It's nice to see um the recognition is getting out there. And I think the part that's really awesome that I've noticed is nice is with it being worldwide, we're not just custom. America's a young country,
Right? Yes, we
so
are.
what we're finding is nowhere near like what you guys find when you guys go to Europe.
Oh, yeah. It's
It's completely different.
well, it's the funny thing is, and it's so much older over there. But the funny thing is, what at least I guess on both of the trips, or however many trips we've made, where we're hunting at is actually where they had some World War II battles and things as well. And on both trips, somebody has found one. They found a silver Washington quarter, and then somebody else found a.
Oh, that's neat.
And it's neat, but it's like you go all the way to find a wheat penny. That's just, but the history connected with that, that was lost by a soldier, so that makes it cooler.
Right. I know a couple of the people I was speaking to had some really good questions. Like far as getting into the magazine, having the opportunity to make it into American Diggers magazine, the process or the different avenues you can take to get into it.
Yes, absolutely. I mean, you can write the articles. I'm sorry, I'm trying to log into the chat here too. I'm multitasking. I'm multitasking. Yeah, I mean, if you want to write a full-fledged article for us, we depend on freelance writers, because who can write it better than the person that's actually out there detecting, or that made the find, or that did the research. But that's the articles are 1,200 words to 2,500 words. That's too much for a lot of people. I understand that. You can just send your latest find. I mean, we like to get it within the last maybe 6 or 8 months, to kind of keep contemporary. But we have Just Dug, which is all the finds that people make. And all you got to do is just tell us what it is, if you know what it is, what detector you used, a few of the details, and bam, it's liable to be in the next issue. Most finds we put in the issue. If it's a fairly cool find, it gets in there, no matter the era.
Right.
But I put the things in there. I mean, I started the whole magazine because this is what I love to do. I've been doing it for, my gosh, I think it's got to be going on 55 or 56 years now. I started in 68, and I'm not real good with math, and I'm still doing it. And
that's insane.
Yeah, and for the last 20 years, we've done American Digger magazine, and we are the only metal detecting magazine left in the United States. And
That's amazing.
We're still growing. I mean, it's mushrooming with us.
That's insane.
It really is. It's and all the people out here, I'll have to put on my glasses to look at the chat, but it's all because of you guys and people that support the magazine and love the hobby. That's how we're able to do it. I mean, seeing who all I see on here. We do our podcast. We also do a podcast on Monday nights. And
yep,
gosh, I'm going to sound old here, but not only has the magazine been around for 20 years and we're the only one here now, but our podcast has been running 15 years now, I believe. So it's one of the
wow.
podcasts as well. So ooh, that's
Goodness.
scary. Yeah. I'm a dinosaur. But I'm a popular dinosaur, so what the heck? I'm like Barney.
Now, what was there was another question I got tonight, that was really good. So what made you start the magazine? Like, what was your inspiration to start American Diggers magazine?
Good question. Actually, I've always enjoyed writing. I started out, I'm an amateur musician as well, and I like to write songs. And it started out with when I don't know, I got a guitar when I was about 10 years old, and I started writing songs, better or worse, I started writing them. Then I'm like, oh, that's pretty cool. I wonder if I can write a poem. Then I wrote some poems. And then the next thing I know, I started writing stories. And then about that time, I discovered metal detecting. And there were some, let's see, Western Eastern Treasures and also North South Trader. And I found out that, hey, they accepted articles from people. So I sent articles to both of them. Both of them got published. And from there on out, I was just unstoppable with freelancing. I know I drove them crazy, but they must have liked it because they put all of them in. And at that point, I went up and actually saw one of the magazines. It'd be North South Trader up in Virginia. And I had come out with a book at that time, Never Mace a Skunk, which was a story in itself, but a metal detecting book. And I was kind of doing a book tour / take me metal detecting trip all through Virginia. So, I was hitting up people to take me detecting, went on the radio and all. And at that time, the people I was freelancing for had their offices in Orange, Virginia. So I found myself within 30 or 40 miles. And I said, hey, how about if I stop by your office? And the editor who I was used to dealing with said, sure, can you give me 15 minutes? And I thought, well, she's got a meeting or something. I pulled up and found out it was an old Victorian house, and it was her and her husband running the whole magazine with 2 computers. And, we had a great visit. And on the way back, I told my wife, Anita, I said, we could do this. I said, I can keep writing for them, but we can actually do a magazine. And we did. Awesome. And looking back, it's amazing that I was able to do that because I had no experience with a magazine. I just knew how to write and metal detect.
Right.
And look at us now.
It would be a lot to take on.
Everything. Yeah. I didn't quit my day job. My original intention was I'm going to do the magazine part-time. But it became such a hit so quick that after the first year, I had to quit my regular job. So that was a scary time. But I fell into it full time and still doing it today. And I truly love my job. Probably for the first time in my life, I love my job.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
There was another one. Oh, so this question I came up with. I was thinking about it today. It was like first thing this morning. You know how you wake up in the morning and it's like that first thought that comes to your head and you're like, oh my gosh.
I gotta pee.
Yeah.
Sorry, you can cut that out. No, you can't. You're live.
Oh, I'm live. No, so I was thinking this morning, I was like, with Butch doing this magazine, he's been doing it for years. He's had to have seen some absolutely wild stuff.
Oh yeah.
So it's kind of like a 2-part question. What is the strangest item that you've ever received to write an article about? And then probably what would be your best find?
Wow. Yeah, that covers a lot of ground there. Probably the weirdest thing, it's been within the last couple of issues, but it's also probably the scariest find. But somebody actually found while they were metal detecting in a creek a cache of plastic explosives.
Oh my gosh.
Really?
Yeah, they had to call the bomb squad out there. They wound up blowing it up, and it's probably the only artifact we ever put in Just Doug that actually was blown up before the person was allowed to keep it. And
God.
Another one, one of the people has sent in it's like 1930s, 1940s or something, but it's a manhole cover that they found on the bottom of a lake, and it took them forever. They had to build a basically a homemade dredge to get it out. And
Holy
a
cow.
manhole cover, big deal. Well, it was an old telegraph for a telegraph company, so it had that written on it. So that was cool. But just the recovery they went through on that. I mean, I had
That's
the magazine, and it doesn't have to be old to go into American Digger magazine. A lot of people go, "Oh, well, I found something, but it's not Civil War or it's not 1800s." It really doesn't matter. If it got you excited, then it'll get somebody else excited in the magazine.
That's right.
The question for me, I'm also going to say the weirdest thing I ever found was the leading edge of a military airplane that was about that long off the wing with serial numbers on it on a flight approach path in a subdivision between two houses. And all I can figure is it came off the aircraft, and I actually found it came from Lockheed Martin, and it was a C-141, I believe. I actually sent in the serial number, hoping to track it down and letting them know, and I never heard anything back from them. And after I did that, I thought, maybe I should watch for little black vans in front of my house now. But nobody
That's
ever.
a wild find.
That's the wildest find. But the most valuable find I ever found, I used to do a lot of Civil War metal detecting because I grew up in Georgia, and that's what we had around here.
Right.
I found my first belt buckle ever. It was actually a box plate, accoutrement plate, but they look like a belt buckle. They go in the cartridge box, and it was a Georgia State Seal militia with the arches and all the beautiful Georgia State Seal. It was in immaculate condition. The crazy thing was, it was actually on a rock covered by leaves, so it wasn't really even under the surface. I mean, not more than a half inch. And I actually there was I believe with that particular model of that one, there was only 1,000 of them ever made. Wow. So when you consider a SVDB PD or something like that, there was hundreds of thousands of them made, and they're still rare. Think about something where there's just 1,000 of them made, and I found one of them.
Right.
And this gets kind of mystical here, but I swear on all that is holy to me, I actually dreamed about finding that buckle the night before. And when I went out that morning, I didn't know exactly what it was going to be, the Georgia State Seal, which is real rare, but that's Confederate buckle. And my dream was I was going to find a Confederate buckle, which is still one in a several thousand shot to ever find, what most people don't. But yeah, and I keep waiting for a dream like that to happen again. It has never happened. But
I love that.
But it's like, it was the craziest feeling when I went out into the woods. I'm like, yep, I'm fixing to find one. And I did.
That is awesome.
It was 20 feet from my car.
Yes. Oh my goodness. I
hadn't even started up the hill yet. I got out and there it was.
That's wild.
Yeah, it is. That's the thing about this hobby, is there's always unexpected things like that happen.
Mm-hmm.
That's wild. I know, like, I get excited about going to a new place or going to a place in general. It's like that Christmas Eve, as a kid, like that's that feeling I can still, like, I get every time. And I know, I know
Me
Beth
too.
does too, because we talk about it all the time. And you get so excited about just being able to get out. And it's like speaking with FLX John, and he lives like 12 minutes away from me, and it's been brutal because this whole winter's been, like, ever since the last month and a half, we've been frozen out, so we can't even get out. I tried going out this past Saturday or Sunday, and I bent my tip of my shovel trying to dig a hole.
I was going to say, you'll tear your shovel up. So another thing,
I'm really going stir crazy.
Yeah. Oh, it'll make you go stir. I'm lucky. I live in Georgia. I can go all the time if I want. It's cold, but hey, I can get out. But I always tell people, if you ever go out with the ground frozen, be very careful digging, because that is the easiest time to hit an artifact or a coin or whatever you got. And here's a little bit. Oh, a kitty! That looks like my baby. Don't get me started on cat. You didn't tell me there'd be cat videos.
I got a question here on my TikTok. Someone is saying, what is your favorite metal detector?
It depends on the situation. And I try to be loyal to the advertisers that are loyal to American Digger magazine. That being said, for instance, Fisher is not an advertiser, but I still use a Fisher. I also use an XP Deus. I love my Deus XP2. The weight is fantastic on it. For water hunting, this is different than a lot of people, but I like to use a Garrett AT Pro for my water hunting.
Really?
Yeah, it's just I'm used to it and it works good. And then I've got a Mine Lab Knox, and I use it some. And then I've got altogether I've got about 12 detectors, I guess. And it's like I've always said, you can't play a game of golf with just one club. You got to have an assortment of metal detectors.
Absolutely.
You may have all the metal detectors you need, but you never have all the metal detectors you want.
Right. You sound
very true.
Doesn't he sound like Rob?
My co-host Jeff Lubert on Relic Roundup, he holds the record. I think he's got like 20 some odd metal detectors.
Goodness gracious!
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
You hear that, Rob? You got to step up your game a little bit. 20
Step
metal
it up,
detectors.
man. Step it up. Jeff is hardcore about this.
He's Rob has has enough grandkids to make 2 basketball teams. So
that's cool.
He's always buying metal detectors. So
well, hey, it's good to support the hobby. One thing I see that people do wrong though in metal detecting is learn your machine, because listen to the hype. That's okay. There's a reason for it, because let's say the XP Deus 2 and you've got a 1. Well, there's a reason to upgrade. Or let's say you've got one of the older Mine Labs and the Knox has just come out. Learn the detector you have, because if you're changing detectors every 6 or 8 months, you're not going to be good at it. You're going to not learn the detector. And when I first started, the first detector I had, oh my God, it was a Heathkit metal locator, they called it. And it had a chrome. And imagine this, nowadays detectors have the carbon shafts and all. This had a chromium steel pipe screwed directly into the search coil. There was no swivel to it. It screwed directly in it. And every one I've ever seen since then has always been broken at the search coil.
Dang.
But that was the first one I had. But after that, I got one of the old White's Coin Masters, which had oh my God, the box was big enough to put a sandwich in, and probably a liquid diet if you were into that. And I kept that detector for probably 3, 4, 5 years. And near the end, when I finally upgraded, I could pretty much tell you what it was going to be within reason. Like I knew what a shotgun shell was going to sound like. Still, I didn't have enough confidence not to dig them, but I would dig it and go, okay, that's a shotgun shell. And sure enough, it would be. Learn your machine. It's real important.
Them head stamps get me every time.
Oh, man, we call it 12 Georgia buttons.
Oh,
They sound good.
Oh, they
hope they're good.
You know what's crazy about it? When I first started detecting, those were just, you never thought about keeping them. There's people now that collect the head stamps.
Mm-hmm.
So, and I did a lot of work in machine shops before I got into the magazine full time. And I actually got the idea one time and took some to work and actually sandblasted the shotgun shells. They were beautiful. I mean, I made displays out of them. They were just really cool looking.
That's so cool.
Yeah.
I know watching Cliff Condra's
Mhm.
YouTube videos, and it's always crazy because he's the same way. You know, he'll be out there metal detecting and stuff, and just pulling out head stamps like crazy
Oh
because
yes,
they sound just like those buttons.
they
You gotta
do.
dig them.
I mean, still, even to this day, I still don't trust my judgment on them. I will dig a head stamp because just as soon as I don't, then it's liable to be a real nice button or coin or something.
Mm-hmm.
Especially when you kind of get into a hot area and you're starting to find things, like that's definitely a signal you don't want to skip.
Oh, you don't. And that's another cautionary tale is don't cherry pick too much. If you get into a site, um, take some time to dig the iffy signals and even the iron signals, and you will end up being very surprised with that.
Right.
One of the worst things you can do is cherry pick.
Mm-hmm.
I actually early on in my career, I actually was looking for a big cavalry camp here in Georgia. And I had read about it. I thought I knew where it was. I walked to the hill where I thought it was, which was about 2 miles through the woods. And on the way, I crossed one big hill and I hurried through it because there were square nails there. That was where the camp was, and it was found by other people later because I didn't want to dig nails. And now if I find old nails, that's where I'm going to hunt.
Yep.
I agree.
Sometimes you just gotta slow down a little bit.
That's it. You do.
I know people don't like nails, but when I start finding nails, I know there was something there.
That's where the stuff is.
Yep.
And they will camouflage a signal too, especially a big nail on top of something will really make it sound bad.
Oh yeah. It drives me nuts when I get a really nice tone and go to dig it. There's like that little bit of a scratch to it, but you're gonna pull it anyway.
Right.
And it's a nail that's bent.
Mm-hmm. Those sound so good.
And never get them jaded with the nails in shotgun shells because I don't know, about 10 years ago or so, I dug the earliest coin I had ever dug. It was up to that time, it was a 1670 something hammered cut real.
Oh,
It's very small, about the size of a thumbnail or my little fingernail. But all day long, that's the only relic I dug, and it was at the end of the day. And I wound up hitting it with a shovel because I was so sure everything was trash.
oh.
And that was, and that small of a target, but I was being sloppy. It's like, this is garbage. And it wasn't.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I got a question here from someone on TikTok. So someone was asking, how come American Digger doesn't have more of a presence on TikTok?
that's a good question. We've got Debbie Schiffer Blades on the chat right now. I see her on there.
Debbie.
Yes, she is. Debbie. She's trying to get us back on TikTok. We had a guy that got us on TikTok, and then we had the magazine was growing so exponentially, we really didn't have time for any of us to do it. So, in the meantime, he lost the password to TikTok, the login information, everything. So we're trying to get back into it now.
Okay.
So
Good. Cool.
don't give up on us, folks. We are going to be back. And Debbie, I see she posted right now. We will be soon. So
heck yeah.
I'll be looking for you.
If anybody can do it, Debbie can do it. She's a Wonder Woman.
She was awesome. I know.
Yeah.
I know when Cliff reached out to me and got me in touch with Debbie, she was so nice over the phone, was able to give me so much information and stuff. So she definitely got stuff squared away. She's like, I remember your name from somewhere. And I was like, yeah, I inputted a Mormon Army shield from the
That's right. That's what it was. Yes, I think that's in the next issue. Yeah.
Yep. And she's like, oh, that's right.
Yeah. What a cool find. Yeah.
Someone else is asking, how much is digital only version of American Digger?
Let me see if I've actually, it's not a magazine. I don't think Debbie, who is on there, will tell us what it is exactly. I believe it's $22 a year for digital.
$22.95, Rob, right here.
$22.95. There you go. Like I say, Wonder Woman. Woo.
$22.95. See, I'm gonna get the actual copy of the magazine, so that way I can
Right.
frame it with my font.
Uh-huh. Well, it's funny. The people that travel a lot, they like the digital because no matter where they are, they can get it. And people like my son, who lives in a very small apartment, he prefers digital because he doesn't want to clutter up, with hard copies. But probably 3/4 of our readers prefer the actual print version, which is right here. It's a
Right.
real honest to God magazine, and my gosh, we're at 80 pages now, full color. So
That is
that's
awesome.
it's I'm not I'm not only a customer, I'm the owner. I love my magazine. And anybody out there, if you ever see a way we can make it better, we listen to our readers. We really listen.
Teresa K says it's a beautiful magazine.
Teresa's awesome. Teresa Treasure Hunter.
That's right.
Yes.
She's a great one. We had her on the show a couple weeks ago. That and with another great detector from Pennsylvania, and no, she's awesome. With having, her her ways with the metal detectors and stuff, being able to ask information, pinpoint it down to what machine you want to get, and then she's able to help you with that too. So
Oh yeah, she is. She's been with us on at least 2 of the England trips too.
mm-hmm.
So she not only knows her detectors, she's a very good hunter too.
Yeah, she was telling us about the finding a kg when you're in Europe is just kind of like put it in your pocket kind of thing. It's so mind blowing to
It's
me.
almost an embarrassment. That's why when I saw the person dig the wheat penny, I'm like, oh, that's so sad. But at least it belonged to a soldier. But yeah, it's like you said earlier, over there, that is old. That is the really old stuff. And the magazine has a section now in Just Doug where we have pictures of the stuff being found over in England and elsewhere. We actually had a fella get in touch with me a couple of days ago who reads the magazine, and he's in Chile, and I actually had to have it translated. I don't know how. I guess he just looks at the pictures in the magazine, but he's wanting to write a story about his adventures hunting in Chile. So we are truly worldwide.
Oh, that'd be neat.
Wouldn't that be
That
neat?
is so
Yes.
cool.
We had a Just Doug from India one time too. Indian kid was metal detecting over there. Found some cool coins.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is. I mean, this is a worldwide hobby. It's
It
everything.
is.
Yeah.
That's the one thing I do. I'm happy, we're able to enjoy this hobby here. And then also I'm so envious of the people that are in Europe. It's just,
Oh yeah.
oh my gosh.
It's the same way. It's very addictive when you go over there and you dig something and you ask the guy and he says, "Oh yeah, that's probably 200 BC." Yeah, a coin.
I can't even imagine.
I know.
No. That's insane.
But like she said, like Teresa said, the KGs and all, I don't even think those have to be claimed. I mean, we turn them into the guide, and he looks at them, and they usually giggle a little bit about it and punch themselves and then give it back to the crazy yank. But they don't even keep them. Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Yeah, we were asking her like different stuff, like if you had to claim stuff to be able to, as treasures in Europe and stuff. And yeah, she was telling us that story about the KGs, and I was just like, oh my gosh, I would love to find one.
Oh yeah, I mean it's great. It truly is. And the British people, of course, people are people all over the world. Some people are jerks and some people are wonderful. But the guys that we hunt with over in England, one of the guides, I'd had a bad day, and the only old thing I dug all day was a silver, I think it was about 900, 1000 or 1,000, whatever. Anyway, it was a very old silver penny, little bitty thing. And So I'm sure Teresa could tell us exactly what it was, but had like a king or a queen on it. And I lost it. I could not find it at the end of the day, and I was just heartbroken because that was the only old thing I dug. And the guide found out about it, and he pulled one out of his own collection and gave it to me.
Oh, that's nice.
Isn't that awesome? And then I got back over here in the United States, and people that see me out in the woods or out in the fields and all, I have a thing for wearing overalls when I'm metal detecting because they got so many pockets. Well, one of the pockets they had when I was cleaning them out, I dumped out everything that was left, all the dirt and all, and there was the coin. So now I've got two. So I'm gonna give John's back when I go over there in the fall.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, a bad day of digging silver. Yeah, there's no such thing as a bad day of digging
No,
silver.
there's not. I've never had a day that I can remember that I wish I just stayed home.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh, me either.
So I've got to ask this question.
Mhm.
So,
who does my mustache? That's a secret.
yeah, actually, it's
Great clip.
When are you gonna pull that gold coin?
Well, I planned to last year, and then I changed my plans, and I'm planning to this year. I figure when I get one, it'll either be in England or it'll be in the middle of somewhere where I would never expect it. And,
right.
That comes from being, and that's the contest of the magazine now is, can you find the gold coin in the magazine before Butch finds one in the wild? We used to have one with a Georgia button, which is a Civil War button, a Georgia State Seal button to go with the buckle. And I finally found one of those, but when I found it, it was in the middle of nowhere by a well, and I dug maybe one or two other old things and nothing else around there. And I called my wife up from the woods, and she thought I was having a heart attack.
It sounds like someone
else. That sounds familiar, Andrew.
No.
Anita, she said, are you okay? Guess what I got? She said, did you find a button? I said, I got a Georgia button. And what was great, one of my friends was with me, so I had witnesses to it. In fact, I called him over there. I said, is that what I think it is? So
I don't know what I would do if I ever found a gold coin, honestly.
So you haven't found one either then?
No.
I don't either.
I
don't anticipate finding one. So
I hope to see when we go to come out swinging. I hope to see Teresa's because that thing's tiny, and it'll give me an idea what to look for someday.
And that's the thing. I mean, with the exception of the bigger eagles and stuff, gold coins are tiny.
Yeah.
And gold is, depending on your detector, it can sound a little tricky sometimes. So
right. That's where it's that. It's where it's that. Dig everything. If it's repeatable, dig it.
The best discrimination you can have is your shovel. Just go ahead and dig it and see what it is.
Right.
Agree.
It gets tricky, with you'll get to the point where like you go out with that mindset, I'm gonna dig holes today. And it'll be 3, 4, 5 hours in, and you're like, okay, I'm only gonna dig these holes that are over this VDI. And then you have no idea what you just left there.
No, that's exactly right. You don't. And if you ever start having second thoughts and decide to go back to a signal, if you're not within 5 or 10 feet of it, you'll forget where it is. You'll think you knew where it was, but you'll forget. So go ahead and dig it while you're there. We'll put the website up here in case anyone wants to order a magazine or subscription.
Yeah. So, that was another thing I wanted to ask too. If anybody wanted to get a subscription, where would they find that information?
Well, you can go to the website it failed to post for some reason. You can go to AmericanDigger.com and you can sign up online. You can get a subscription, or you can get individual copies. You know, if there's a certain issue that you just want, you can get individuals. You can also call and get your pistols ready for this, folks. But you can call 770-362-8671. And Debbie, if you would post that in the messages here, then everyone will know how to get it. And also, hey, if you just want to give Debbie a shout on here, Debbie can fix you up with a subscription as well. There's also a lot of independent dealers, and these are mostly people that deal in metal detectors, things of that nature. And you can get them from them. There's always a listing in the magazine of where to pick one up.
So did you guys catch that? If you guys are in the YouTube, hit up Debbie.
Mm-hmm.
You can go online.
Blades.
You can go online too, right on AmericanDigger.com. That's in there. I want to say it's the top right corner, isn't it? The three little bars. I think it's right there. Click on that, and then you can go into for subscriptions. You can get it. Was it 6 month and a 1 year?
Not yet. So you get a 1 year or 2 year, but there's 6 issues a year. It comes out every other month. And
that's awesome.
It is a quality magazine. I'm not saying that because I publish it, but when I do something, this has always been a philosophy of mine. I try to do it where I'm proud of it and other people like it. And with the magazine, that's definitely been the truth.
Right. It's tough to do anymore. Because if you really think about it, everything, like even books, everything's electronic nowadays. Everyone has it on their phone, or they pull it up on their computer or their tablets. So for American Digger to still be around, still publishing, that's a statement in and on its own,
And print is expensive. I mean, Debbie can post the price of how much the subscription is, because I don't remember. I think it's 41 or something. But if people could see behind the scenes and see how much the printers charge us to do these magazines, it's and that's one reason there's no magazines like this left, because Western Eastern Treasure, actually, which was a great magazine. I love them. And we, at one time, we were considering incorporating them into American Digger as well. But they decided, print got so expensive, they decided to go all digital. And when they did, they just tanked.
Right.
People still want the old-fashioned magazines. We just offer both so that you do have a choice.
Right.
But the cool thing is we make our magazines.
I think there's just something.
What's that?
I think there's just something authentic about holding a book in your hand or a magazine in your hand.
I mean, it's
reading digitally. I prefer having it in my hand.
Yeah, big pictures. I mean, so much easier on the eyes than a cell phone.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's like, I can remember growing up as a kid. There was, next to the couch or next to your chair, there was a table, like even right here next to my desk. I have a corner, that would have been right next to your stuff. It's for your magazines, your books. It literally has your racks just for that.
And
you don't see that stuff anymore.
No, you don't. And you can read hours during a power outage. I mean, as long as you got a candle.
Mm-hmm.
But you don't see it anymore. And there's a sense of nostalgia about it, but also there's a sense of practicality because the pictures are bigger. You can, look back on them. They're made to last. That's another thing. The old back issues are actually collectible. And something else is a lot of people will go on Facebook or, some of the Can You ID pages, et cetera, and they'll get 50 different answers on what something might be. And nobody knows for sure who's right. When you're actually putting out a magazine, we strive to check our facts as well as possible. It's not just like type, click, and we post something.
Right.
So, that adds a little bit of a buffer between just a random answer on the internet and something that's been well thought out.
Right. Yeah,
We
because
make mistakes, but most of the time it's pretty dead on.
you were asking me tons and tons and tons of questions on that Mormon shield.
Yes.
And that was the thing, for someone that's trying to submit something, that's the biggest thing. Make sure you do your research prior to sending it to Butch,
Right.
because
It's
he's
good
going to ask you questions, and you got to be ready for them.
Because some people, and it's no fault, but somebody might dig up, I can't think of an example, something, and they get it in their head that it's a so-and-so, and oh, this is what it is. That's great, but we can't just publish the opinion in the magazine. We have to find as much as we can. We just don't always have the answers, but if there's any doubt, we try to leave just a little room for doubt, let people make up their own minds, and most people are good with that. They want to know what they found.
Right. So that was what was nice was, I was able to locate it pretty quick, and then just happened to go through and honestly, if it wasn't for scanning that on Google Lens or whatever, if it wasn't for that particular shield being sold on or being selling through an online auction, I probably wouldn't have known what it was, because
it's hard to find stuff sometimes.
It is.
I mean,
that is an unusual piece of. I couldn't find anything on it. I can't. Right. I never could find anything on it. So,
right. All I know is
100 and something Mormons in the army. I mean, there wasn't that many.
No. And that was what was weird, was the fact that there was like 536 troops themselves, and that's impressive in it itself.
That is rarer than my box plate, if you do the math on that. A lot rarer.
Right.
That's one of 1,000. Yeah.
That's my greatest find. It'll be.
I can imagine.
I'm not probably going to top that anytime soon.
How cool is it to be with your buddies or something and have a copy of the magazine and say, hey, look at me in there. Look what I found. Right. It's a lot more impressive than going on the internet and going, look at this post I made.
Right.
Yeah. Anybody can post something, but not everybody's published in magazines.
That's right. I know that's what got me to even to post about it to begin with to you guys was I had Cliff Condra on my show, and he was showing his awesome museum that he has of all his finds. It's awesome. Like, oh my gosh.
What kills me, he is metal detecting the same camps that I did when I was in the 70s. And I'm like, how did I miss that stuff? I know where he's at. How did I miss it? And no, Cliff, don't worry, I will never tell. But
it's crazy.
But I'm glad it's being found. And a lot of that, the areas that he's hunting in are noted for being kind of bad soil and bad ground as well. I would imagine the new detectors are pulling out a lot that the old whites and all that I used to hunt with missed. So,
yeah, it is, and that's what it was. Him showing the magazine in his one display. It was like, oh man, what's that? And he's like, yeah, look, I'm on the cover of this one. I'm on the cover of this one. It's like, I need to try to get in this magazine now.
I've only been on my own cover one time. So if you get on the cover, that's an honor. And yeah, Cliff, I think probably has been on there about as much as anybody.
Yeah.
He finds some spectacular stuff. Oh my goodness.
Yeah. And he's so humble about it.
Yes,
he's metal detecting for the right reason.
Yeah, I really like. He's been a great supporter of our magazine too. So
yeah.
He's a great Cliff. He is.
Trying to think. Does anybody on TikTok have any questions for Mr. Butch?
I have one.
Sure.
We heard what got you into writing. What got you into metal detecting?
Very good question.
Good question, Pat.
I remember when it had to be in 1964 or so. So I was just a fairly young kid at that point. But I remember my mom taking myself and one of my friends to a Civil War reenactment. And when she did, it just got me. I'm like, oh, wow, they really did that here. They really fought. And then shortly thereafter, a guy in my Boy Scout group, or Cub Scouts, I guess it was at the time, brought in a 3-ring mini ball that he had found, not metal detecting. He had just picked it up somewhere. The scout leader told us what it was and all. And I was like, oh, man, you mean there's really stuff like that you can find? And then skip ahead a year or two, and I was out fishing with one of my friends. He opens up his tackle box, and here's all these mini balls sitting there.
Oh,
those are Civil War bullets. He says, no, those are fishing sinkers. I said, you want to sell them? I bought them all for $0.25. And after that, I'm like, well, how can I find more of these things? And about that time, there was a fella that my dad worked with at Lockheed called Dent Myers. He actually opened up a Civil War shop in Kennesaw, and I knew him through my dad. So I went up there. He introduced me to metal detecting, and once I got a metal detector, I never looked back. I'll never stop it. I love it. I went through a phase where I was real big into fishing, but I tell you what, my fishing equipment is just gathering dust because I just prefer metal detecting. You never know. Never know. Yeah.
I got someone that's asking, when does the next issue drop? I'm waiting patiently for my very first subscription.
Oh, good for you. Actually, I haven't heard from them, but it is at the printer and it should be going out. I know it'll be out no later than the 1st of March, and I expect probably the last week of February, which what's next week. I imagine they'll be getting to people by then. And once we see that the printed issues are going out, then we always go ahead and put up the digital too and try to make them coincide so nobody really has an advantage on it.
Thanks, John. So if you don't have a subscription to American Diggers magazine, you can go ahead and subscribe and you can still get it by March.
Yes. I think you can now. We have to mail the mail list early. So that would be a tough call. I think you can, but you can call our office and find out, and we can tell you exactly.
I actually
want to do it now because otherwise it will be too late.
Right. I might have to call Debbie tomorrow. I need to talk to one of the publicists to be able to get my magazine.
Debbie knows people that knows people.
Yeah. Yeah, she's a great help too.
She's kind of a big deal.
Are magazines available in stores or bookstores?
Only in detector stores. We have actually been approached by Barnes and Noble back when they had all the stores, the actual storefronts. And what happened at that time, we weren't quite big enough to stock all of them because they wanted us to put like 20 copies in every Barnes and Noble across the country, and we just couldn't do that. That's because partially because go through a bookstore like that, if they don't sell it, they tear the covers off and destroy them. So we wouldn't even get a refund on them. So we decided quickly the best way to sell them is where people buy their detecting gear. And I know a lot of the detector shops now, they actually put them on eBay and Amazon too, so you can usually pick them up there.
Oh, there you guys go. So even if you want one subscription, you can just or one copy, you can jump online and probably pick it up as well.
Oh yeah, and we also have a lot of back issues too. So we don't reprint issues because of the fact that we want to keep them collectible. Some are sold out, but for the most part, we can fix you up with back issues. And on the website, AmericanDigger.com, they're actually on there is an index that you can look up, see if your name's in there, see if your buddy's name. It'll tell you what issue they were in, and then order that issue.
Oh, that's neat. That's a good idea.
It's easy. Yep. You know what, guys? I have actually got another podcast I've got to go to tonight. And this is not even metal detecting oriented, but there's a series of books called Chicken Soup for the Soul. Been around forever, and I looked into a freelancing gig with them a few years back, and the latest issue to come out of theirs, I've actually got 2 stories in it. So,
Oh, that's neat.
yeah, that's cool, huh? So, so other than metal detecting, writing is my hobby too. But my love is writing about metal detecting. But I
That's
really
awesome.
appreciate y'all having me on tonight.
Hey, I appreciate you coming on.
Anytime you need a guest, I can usually make it most of the time.
Well, I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
So I can only purchase the one with Andrew's mug in it. Gee, thanks, guys. No,
That's
it was
right. We're gonna
definitely
put Andrew on the cover, just his face.
Oh, I'm gonna make the American Digger centerfold.
Oh no. That is
Mr.
actually
Versace.
to us before, and I have no words for it.
So one last question real
Yes.
quick before I lose it.
Mhm.
A gentleman is asking, can there be a column for social media detecting?
There probably could. It's something we haven't really thought about a lot, but yeah, I tell you what, any suggestions like that, give them to Debbie, who's on the chat tonight, or you can also, let me give you my email. This goes directly to me because I like to keep in touch with my readers, and that is publisher@americandigger.com. Publisher
guys
at americandigger.com.
Publisher
Uh-huh.
at American Digger magazine, guys.
.com. Not magazine, just americandigger.com.
Americandigger.com.
And Debbie, if you will post that on there, and hopefully I can hear from some people.
Yeah, that'd be awesome.
It's a great podcast you got here. Yeah.
Thank you. I really appreciate it, Butch.
Well,
It was definitely a pleasure having you on here. I appreciate it a lot.
It was.
I can't wait to have you on again sometime.
Yeah, absolutely. I love spreading the word about American Digger because it's something I believe in. I believe in this magazine. It's
right
because it's about the best hobby in the world, metal detecting.
That's right.
I agree.
It is.
All righty, Butch. You have a good night, sir.
Thanks, everyone. Thank you for reading
have a
the
good
magazine.
Take care.
Wow, that was amazing. I'm gonna transfer this over to just I'm gonna transfer this over to probably just up to the TikTok. If you wanna jump on TikTok, and then I can throw you up on the screen. All right, awesome. Thank you, Beth.
Seen a few. Uh-huh.
Well, dang, guys, what a great show. Thank you guys so much for being on here. And we're going to switch over to TikTok. So if you're following me on TikTok, jump over there and we'll continue the show.